Okay, Rabbi Say Be'ezah Hashem Yisborach, we start a brand new halacha. I'm very, very excited about this halacha. Very, very excited. And I'll tell you why I'm so excited, because I want to show you different marmakoimas, how exciting this halacha is. You know, many people think, and it's to a certain degree it's true, that when it comes to Shabbos, the Issa D'Oraisas, the Lamates Malachas are very, very important, and it's true, they are. And we try to spend time learning the Lamates Malachas, but often they are D'Rabbanans. And the D'Rabbanans are sometimes a little bit, overlooked as, it's only a D'Rabbanan. Let's learn the Lamates Malachas. Now it's true. Be'ez Hashem, we're going to try to go through everything. But I really want to spend a little bit of time on learning the halachas of Muktza, because these are things that are going to get every single Shabbos. I do not believe that any single one of you ever did not have a shaila of Muktza every single Shabbos of your life. This is not shaykh. If you eat, and if you get dressed, and if you do anything on Shabbos, you're going to have a shaila of Muktza. So basically, you're writing this down, right? So basically, everything we're saying in the next few shiurim is going to be negeya to every single one of you, every single Shabbos of your life. That's why it's very important to know this, right? This is why it's very, very chosh. I want to read to you words of a Beis Yosef, okay? This is absolutely mind-boggling, okay? What I want to do today is a bit of a hakdama, an introduction. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we'll start the categories, we'll get more into it, practical, whatever. Today I just want to get into a little bit of a hakdama to understand what is Muktza, where did it come from, and why is it asa? Because like with all the halachas, we try to understand why. The chinuch does this, right? Taimei ha-mitzvahs. What's the tam of a mitzvah? A taste of the mitzvah, right? Nasameh, the egg is geschmack. The taste is nice, but that's not the ikka. The ikka is when you swallow the egg and you get the nourishment from it, then it's geschmack. What's the taste? An additional geschmack. The Rabbeinu Shalom put a taste into food, which is a gewaldige chesed. Really, the Rabbeinu Shalom could have said, here you go, eat. It was a taste of nothing, but you need to eat in order to live. The Rabbeinu Shalom said, no, I want you to enjoy. And he put a taste into the world. It's called a tam. The chinuch, when he gives taimei ha-mitzvahs, it's the taste of the mitzvah. It's not the mitzvah. It's not why we do it. It's just a little bit of an understanding. The Vilna Gaon writes in Yerodei in Hilchos Milah that it's important to try and understand every single halacha, at least if you can, except for the ones obviously that we don't understand, like shatnez and basar v'chalav, whatever. The chayk halachas out there. But upon those that we do understand and we can understand, we absolutely should understand. And it's important to understand halachas from a perspective of why. Where did it come from? Not just asa muta. Why? What's pshat? All right, and we do this here, Baruch Hashem, a lot in this shurim. We try to discuss that very often, is what's the pshat? Why is this asa? Where did it come from? So I want to read you words of the Beis Yosef, okay? The Beis Yosef brings, in the beginning of Siman Shin Ches. For those of you that are familiar, Shin Ches is the Hakdama, is the halacha basically, the main siman in Hilchos Muktza. And the Beis Yosef over here in Shin Ches writes a little bit of a Hakdama. Right? Then we write Hakdama, which we'll try to get to ourselves from the Gemaras based on where does Muktza begin from, and who basically was Goza, where did it come from. And then he says like this, and he goes through the different madregas of Muktza, which we're also going to go through. He goes through the different levels of Muktza, what's Muktza and how and whatever. And then he says like this. He says like this: Va'acha she'tzeitzel v'necha kol zeh ovay levad divrei Rabbeinu va'oz tovin yiras Hashem. Unbelievable thing. Says the Beis Yosef that after you've learned all of this and you understand where this is coming from in the Muktza and whatever it is, now you'll get to Yiras Hashem, as I state in the Beis Yosef, which is an incredible thing. So it seems to say what the Beis Yosef is telling us is that if you want Yiras Hashem, a lot comes from here. And we've quoted here many times the my Rosh Hashiva of Scheinberg Zatzal, Rav Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg Zatzal, who said many times that people say, it's only to Rabbanon. It's only to Rabbanon. What's the only to Rabbanon? So the Rosh Hasholchan famously paskins alocha lemaisa. The Rosh Hasholchan paskins that if a person says, it's only to Rabbanon, you can't mistarif him to a minion. If he's number 10 guy, don't mistarif him to a minion. It's only D'Rabbanan is a terrible thing, and that's maybe why the Beis Yosef is telling us this is the D'Rabbanan we're dealing with over here. It's a D'Rabbanan of Muktza, which we'll talk about why, and we'll talk about where it came from. But it's so chashuv. It's so chashuv because even the D'Rabbanans, we know, Torah tells us also, and Achanamim, Torah tells us to listen to the D'Rabbanans. But Akaponim, as I state in the Beis Yosef, the Yavitz brings down as follows. Says the Yavitz, Muktza should never be kal in your eyes. And he says it's such an important thing. He says that because even something which is a Torah's kli can be also the Mincha Shabbos writes b'shem Darizal that Roiv Chilul Shabbos, the Mincha Shabbos writes b'shem Darizal, Roiv Chilul Shabbos, that people are over on is because they don't know Hilchos Muktza. That's what the Mincha Shabbos brings b'shem the Heilige Arizal. Mr. May, you were there? You were there, Mr. Toma, no?
Where?
By the Arizal. Oh, okay. The Tanya. Huh? Oh, wow. You did?
She's next door to Tanya.
Right, beautiful. Oh, because, okay, the Tanya writes in Perik Memvov that just like a mashu of chometz, right, it's so machmeh, so chomo, people are so careful, says that Balatanya, Tiltul Muktza, is poigim the kedusha of a person, as I state in the Tanya. The Nesivus has a siddur. In the siddur, most of it is tefillas, but he also has a few halachas. And over the halachas, he writes a section on Hilchos Shabbos, and he only puts one halacha in Hilchos Shabbos, Hilchos Muktza. That's all the Nesivus puts in his siddur in Hilchos Shabbos category, is Hilchos Muktza. Obviously, there's something very, very choshev to Muktza over here. If you remember, those of you that were zoicha to say tefillah zakah before Yom Kippur, Erev Yom Kippur, as Yom Kippur is coming in, right before Shkia, we said it over here, before Kol Nidrei. So tefillah zakah has within it, for anything that we may have touched on Shabbos, that was Muktza. The Chassam Sofer in Toras Moshe and Dvarim brings down how careful a person has to be. He says, just like a person touches a coal and he immediately retracts from it. Oh, it's boiling hot. Says the Chassam Sofer, it should be the same thing when it comes to Muktza. It's Muktza. Can't touch it. It's mamash treif. It's mamash not beseder. So let's talk a little bit today. I said all we're doing is a little bit of a hagdama, a little bit of an introduction. Where did Muktza come from? Who was Gozra? In which time was it instituted? And what are the different types of Muktza? So number one, we'll start with the Gemara in Shabbos, Lamadam base. The Gemara in Shabbos brings that David HaMelech was nifta. And when David HaMelech was nifta, Shloima HaMelech sent in a shaila to the Beis HaMedrash, and they wanted to move David HaMelech. And he wanted to know, how do I move David HaMelech? So they said, Alidei Kika V'Tinik, which we're not going to get into exactly what that means, Tiltum and Atzad, maybe we'll talk about that one time. But on Kaponim, we already see that in the time of David HaMelech, there was a Gzeira already of Muktza, and the Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Chav Gimel brings already in the days of Nehemiah, people were being mezalzel in the Isser of Shabbos, so they made a Gzeira that it's also to be metaltal everything. Absolutely everything. That means you cannot be metaltal a stender, a table, a cup, a fork, a knife, or a plate. That was the original Gzeira. Eventually, as the Gemara goes through, they were eventually allowed it. They saw that people were being more careful. But originally, when the Gzeira was instituted, it was instituted in a way that was very, very, very chomo, to make sure that people are not being over on all sorts of things. Now, the Aruch HaShulchan, right, it's a very interesting lashon. The Aruch HaShulchan in Reish Mem Gimel Sikot and Gimel, also in Shin Ches Sikot and Dalet, the Aruch HaShulchan says that the shvusim of Shabbos, the durabonons of Shabbos, are not like regular Isur durabonons. He says the Aruch HaShulchan heim kedoraisa. They have a din like a doraisa. Lefize gam Isur Muktza, says the Aruch HaShulchan, and I quote, "Havi me'oz shenitna Torah." It was from when they actually gave the Torah. It says the Aruch HaShulchan, the giving of the halachas of Muktza was like the giving of the Torah, and it's very, very careful. The Shloah Kodesh writes in their mitzvah, Sikot and Samach Tes, he says many inyonim people are not nizerin. Many of them are dinei Muktza, and he says they're very, very wide. As we mentioned, the Mincha Shabbos already brought that down. And it's very, very important to understand. Okay, so we know where the Makor is. I want to go through now, as I mentioned today, it's only a little bit of a Hagdama to understand where everything came from and why. What is the reason for Muktza? Why? What's the problem? Anybody know? Out of interest, anybody knows? Anybody know why we can't touch Muktza things? We have to get to what is Muktza. We'll talk about what is Muktza. Before we get, what's that? You might come to use it. Very nice. So that means you're talking very nice, Danny. Excellent. Which means that's something that's also to use, right? Like a pen, maybe.
Or something that you can't, that has no use on Shabbos, yeah.
Oh, that's saying something else now. It has no use on Shabbos. So what's the issue of that?
You might carry it.
Has no. Oh, you might carry it.
No.
Yeah? No, not maskim.
Not using, but it's not.
What's the issue of Muktza? Why can't I touch money? What's the problem? Very nice. I'm touching this table. What am I using it for? I don't know. I want to touch it. Okay, so it should be the same thing. So why am I not touch table then? No, San Chaim, what do you say?
We're here for.
Oh, Kavaldik. That's what we're here for. Naftali Atzadik. Mayudik, Azayid. Okay. Good, we'll get you training right now. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so there are 4 reasons for Muktza. From the Rishonim already. Okay, let me go through them, and then we'll go through the categories of Muktza, and then Be'ez Hashem tomorrow we'll go into practicalities. Okay, the first one the Rambam brings in Hilchos Shabbos, Perek Chof Dalet, and the Rambam says that just like that a person's speech should be different on Shabbos than it is during the week, as we know, right? A person should speak differently. In fact, Tosfos brings down in Shabbos, Tosfos says that really you're not meant to speak at all, right? Because they allowed such a thing. Right, there are such people that take on a tiny steep and all these things on Shabbos. The Makor Pashtus is a Tosfos. Now they allowed speaking on Shabbos, but it has to be different to during the week. Says the Rambam, just like the speech on Shabbos should be different to during the week, the tiltul, that which you move on Shabbos, should also be different to during the week. That's why they asked certain things. It doesn't explain why they asked this and not that, but it does at least explain certain things why it should not be like a weekday, a yom chol. The Rambam brings another reason. And the Rambam says, like Danny said, that if you're allowed to touch certain things, you may come to do malacha on those things. That's why they asked various things, which we'll get into, because those things are asked to use, and therefore don't touch them, or two you're going to come to use. That's the Rambam's second reason. Third reason also from the Rambam is that some people are batlonim. They do nothing the whole week. They do nothing the whole week. So how do we differentiate for them between a Shabbos and a weekday? It's the same. They don't do anything on a Wednesday, and they don't do anything on a Shabbos. So how do you make a difference between Shabbos Kodesh and a Wednesday? Says the Rambam, Teretzis Hilchos Muktza. Because Muktza makes them different, because now they can't touch everything. They can't move everything. That's another reason the Rambam says. And the fourth reason is, Danny, you got this? And the fourth reason is, it's a Gzeira, this is what Daniel was saying, it's the Ravid, is a Gzeira you may come to carry. Okay? What the nafkaminas are between these, we're not going to go into at this moment of time, but those are the four main reasons for Muktza, which is very, very important over there. What I want to go through right now, and then we'll stop here, is the categories of Muktza, and we'll try to go through them one by one to try to get them very, very clear, because it's very important. I can see there's a lot of bilbo, a lot of confusion by a lot of people. Oh, I'm allowed to touch it by picking it up with my elbow, or this one I'm allowed to take because it's on my way. People, if you don't know the klolim, it doesn't help you. So if I say we're about to learn the klolim, I'm going to give you the Roshi Prokim right now, and tomorrow Be'ez Hashem we'll go into properly. The first one we're going to get into, say the Shulchan Aruch, but it's a Shin Ches, is Muktza Machmas Chesoren Kis, which is one of the most chomor types of muktzas, which is something generally, we'll just generalize right now, something that people are makpid not to use for something else, that is muktza. There's no real heter to move that on Shabbos. We then have what we call a kli shemalachta le'issa, which is something that's generally used for Issa, but can maybe also be used for Heter. But whatever it is, that's a Kli Shemalachta Issa, which they will be Heterim to move in a lot of situations, which we'll talk about. We have Muktza Machmas Gufoi, something which is not a Kli, it's not a utensil, it's intrinsically Muktza, like a stone, like a $5, like a thing of money, or like even paint or glue, something all similar there. It could be Muktza Machmas Gufay. We have also Muktza Machmas Issa, Muktza Machmas Mitzvah. We have Kli Shemalachta Leheta, and then of course we have Basis. Basis means the base on which something was placed, which is very negay. When something is on your pillow, on your bed, on your table, on your chair, are you allowed to move it? And then of course we have Tiltul Minat Sad and Tiltul Minat Gufoy, which are two different heterim of moving Muktza. There's a lot to do, Rabbi Isai. Join us, Be'ez Hashem, every day. We'll try to get through the lochas. Have a wonderful, good day.